Hey everybody, welcome back to the Weekend Cruiser Live. So I think I've got somebody actually beat me into the waiting room. So I got there and they're like, "Oh, one person's already waiting on you," and I was highly impressed by that. You'd already given me a thumbs up, so I don't know who that was, but I was impressed to come in. I was here like 5 minutes early, so thumbs up. And so that made my day right there. I am getting the live going on my side so that we might can do some polls, maybe some chats on YouTube. But looking forward to having everybody join. So, who do we have in the comments, or who do we have on the live stream? Like, if you want to put it in the comments, we can see who all is here. I love checking out who's joining from where, especially if you're on a cruise ship. Let me know which one. Always love talking about the cruise ships. All right, we've got Mr. Wagner coming through once again. Hey, Brandon. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. It is going well. Luckily, it is going very well so far. Busy, but good. The summer picks up a lot of work, but it's going really well. It's going good. Thank you. Hey, Boka J. Welcome back as always, sir. I've not seen you in a while. Jay is one of my favorite people, one of the group cruisers that is out there. So a pleasure seeing you, sir. Glad you could make the live stream. Let's see. Oh, Boca J. I see what you did. Boca J and then Boca. Excellent. And we've got John coming in here as well. It's funny. So I'm watching it on two different screens. So I've got my streaming screen over here where I can see everything, and then I've got YouTube over here. YouTube is a second or two sooner that I get to see people commenting. So it's kind of interesting to navigate both of these. Hey, John. Greetings from Pittsburgh. The only time I've been to Pittsburgh, John, was flying through the airport. It was back when I was chasing status with US Airways, so that'll give you a little bit of a time period. And I was like, you know what? I've never flown into Pittsburgh before. And so I flew out and did a layover there and then flew back out again, but I've not really spent any quality time there. Jay is coming in the comments hot, trying to make me jealous this evening. So you've got 32 cruises booked from now to the end of June 27 between Royal and Celebrity. Your life skull is big, a big pinnacle. Your life goal is a big pinnacle, is what I think that means, or being pinnacle. So you've got a lot more than me booked. So you have to let me know where you're going to be, when you're going to be somewhere. I'm going to look at my schedule. I think I've got four left the rest of this year. And that's it. I am really booking much more short out these days. I might book a cruise in like 2 weeks, but when I'm booking them, they're normally coming a lot sooner than I used to, which is actually working. And so, for those of you who are looking at pricing, you've got Jay's strategy here where um, he's, really keeping a lot of cruises booked. And so when you do that, you book really far out. And I say you play the long game. That's what I used to do all the time. Life happens. And sometimes you just can't book that far out, like is in my case right now. And so I am booking much closer to it. But I only have four cruises booked right now, you guys. Granted, one of them is a 15 night and one of them is a 7 night. But there's not too terribly many of them out there for me right now. So hopefully I can get on some more. You all know that I am literally always on the hunt for a good deal and for a good cruise. So more to come. Cruise, cruising beach bums. What and when is your next cruise? It is actually going to be on Thursday of next week is my next cruise. And so I get Juneteenth as a federal holiday. And so I'm going to be able to take that off, which is a Friday this year. It's one of those that moves around. And because of that, the first thing I do is be like, well, gosh, is there a Thursday to Monday cruise out there? And there's not a lot of them. Yeah, I think I talked about this on the last live stream. There used to be a ton of Thursday to Monday 4 night sailings. So we do Key West on Friday. Back in the day, even as recently as 2 or 3 years ago on the Summit with Celebrity here out of Miami, but they don't have them a lot. So I'm going to be going on Virgin Voyages. It is probably my most expensive cruise this year, coming in at around $2,000 for two people for only 4 nights. So it is not I'm hoping that it's going to be really good. I'm taking my boyfriend on it for his first time. And so I told him, I was like, you better love this cruise because we're paying good money for it. And then I was like, actually, hopefully you don't like it so I don't have to pay that kind of money again. And you're just going to be fine doing the $800 weekend cruises with me. But we're going to see how that goes. I mean, Virgin is still up to their same kind of shenanigans, if you will. Like, I love Virgin. I've not been on them in quite some time. But the last time I went on there, I made a flurry of videos talking about how much I enjoyed Virgin, which I did. But I also talked about some of the struggles that I had with Virgin, namely around their restaurants. It's their blessing and it's their curse. Their food is fantastic the last time I was there. And so on a 4 night, we're not going to make it into all the restaurants because we just don't have the time. But I was cheap. They now sell their restaurants or the reservations, I should say, based on the type of room that you book and the package that comes with it. Me being the budget cruiser, I mean, at $2,000, you would think that isn't budget, but in this case, it is. Have had 15 days before the sailing to go online and book the cruises. I had my alarm set. I went on as soon as it opened, and I was able to get Gunnaby and the Test Kitchen. I did not book Razzle Dazzle because you can just walk into Razzle Dazzle whenever you want to. But those are the only ones that were available. All of the quote unquote good ones, or the more upscale ones, if you will, were already taken. And so I'm hopeful that when we get on the ship, I'm gonna be able to make a beeline over to a maitre d or somebody that can help schedule some additional ones on there. It's just kind of a shame that that's the part that I look forward to the most on Virgin is the food, and it seems like it's so difficult to actually get into one of their restaurants. Hey, Craig, coming in from Tampa, right across the Alligator Alley here. Mr. Cohen. It's funny. I feel like so Ron is part of the royal family, and we've all kind of, I don't want to say disbanded. We're still like, family, but we're all going on different cruise ships these days. We're all in different places. We used to do just weekend. Now we're doing longer. Now we're doing shorter. We're all over the place. And so we don't run into each other as much as I think you're, Ron, the one that I've not seen in the longest period of time. I was even on with Denise last weekend. I had Gail and Stan and Marilyn Dave a little bit before then, but it's been a while. Definitely need to hang up, but hope all is going well with you too. Hello, Andy. Andy Beach. I love it. From Morganton, North Carolina. Andy, I don't know where Morganton is. I'm going to have to Google that real quick, you all, because it's a fellow North Carolinian. So I got to know where he's from. From the name, it sounds like it's going to be towards the mountains there, Andy. But let me see how accurate I'm going to be. Not. I'm almost accurate. You're definitely towards the western side than we are. Just west of Hickory, in between Hickory and Asheville, if you will. Great location though. So hopefully you're having some good weather this time of year that it's starting to warm up for you. Definitely. Have your people call my people. Absolutely. We'll get it all scheduled. So sometimes, I joke that, I probably do need somebody. My spreadsheets get overwhelming sometimes. I mean, luckily, I say that I only have 4 cruises now, but as you know, I used to keep 30 to 50 during COVID times when we were lifting and shifting. I think I had a list much longer than that, that I was trying to keep straight. But it definitely becomes a full-time job to keep up with that. But then the challenging part these days is keeping up with getting your points all posted correctly, especially with point choice with Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. I don't know if you all follow me on Facebook or not, but there is a Facebook page over there, and I posted earlier, was it no, end of last week, that they had gone through and deleted all of my points in the Royal Caribbean and Celebrity program. And so I literally got the pop-up notification. Normally it's congratulations, you're getting more points. And then it says you've earned 6 points. In this case, it was I lost 1,607, 1,600 and I think 77 points, like negative number. And I was like, what? Made no sense. And then I got the next day one from Celebrity saying that they had moved out 210 points, all of my points. It took me to zero. What I think happened and is points choice. It is a form-based process. I don't know if it's manual, if they're processing it manually on their end, but I submitted points choice and something there went wrong in the posting of those points. Instead of posting it to the nut crown and anchor number that I wanted from Celebrity, apparently they just created new numbers on both systems and wiped everything out. And so I had to go in, call them, And so luckily, it only took about 30 minutes for this to get done. I broke down, I think it was Sunday, and called them. And I was like, let me just go ahead and get it out of the way because you don't want to show up on a cruise ship and not have your benefits. Like that would be a horrible experience because that's where your free Wi-Fi comes from, your free drinks, all those kind of perks, even boarding perks for Royal Caribbean as well as for Celebrity, I would have lost if I had to wait till I got on the ship, talk to the loyalty ambassador, get everything updated. It just would have been a mess. So I'm glad that it was fairly easy in the scheme of things to resolve, but still something extra that I had to resolve, which I don't love. Hey, Gene, you have a company over tonight, so you can't stay on. Definitely have a good one. Next week, I will be on a different night. I might be on Monday night, or I might have to skip next week altogether, as I'm in Chicago on Tuesday and Wednesday. So stay tuned to the channel. I'll definitely let you all know what day it is. But forewarned, next week I may not be around, or we might wind up doing just a Monday night show. I'm on a 6 a.m. flight the next day, so I don't know if I'm gonna want to do that or not. We'll play it by ear. Radiance and Radiance class, absolutely, Jay. One of my absolute favorites. I love the size of this ship. The Radiance class always, it's the class of mirrors or the ship of mirrors, or not mirrors, the ship of glass. And so everywhere you go, you can see outside. And I love the fact that you're on a cruise, you're by the water, and you feel like you are. Ships that sometimes feel more insular aren't always my favorite. And so I know this is one of the prime examples where a lot of people are looking at that Discovery class that they wanted to come out. And there's a lot of rumors early on that Discovery class was going to be a smaller ship. And I think, blame this on a captain. There used to be a lot more captain's corners where the captains or senior officers would get up there on the stage and talk to everybody, take Q&A. And so they started front running the information on a new class of ship that Royal Caribbean was going to build. And I don't know how well you all have followed that, but when it came out, everybody's like, oh, it's got to be a small ship. It's going to be small. It's going to replace all the older ships, which would have been amazing. But as I called out from the very beginning, it will never happen. Royal Caribbean is not in the industry of building small ships anymore. They are in the industry of building large mega ships. And so we have gotten more information. Fast forward year and a half, we've gotten more information on Discovery class. Looks like it's going to be around the same size as Quantum of the Seas, of Quantum class. And so not quite an Oasis, not quite an Icon, but bigger than the Voyager class, bigger than Freedom. You're going to have it being essentially a very large ship once again. And so the ports that it's going to go to are still going to be restrictive. I know that's one of the biggest concerns on the big ships is they go to very few places because that's all that they can fit into. And so Royal Caribbean is not changing their strategy. I think they are staying the course. I think they're doing exactly what I thought. They'll have a new class coming out. And I think they're going to allow Celebrity and Silver Seas to, take on that smaller ship, if you will, feel going to some more unique places and ports. Hey, David, welcome back. I think you've been here for all of my recent live streams. Always appreciate the encouragement and showing up. Thank you. Hopefully, it will be a good time on Virgin Voyages next weekend. I'm going to be making content, so I will certainly let you all know. I have not also been on the Resilient Lady, so I've only done Scarlet Lady when she first came over. That's how long it's been since I've been on Virgin Voyages, so I'm excited to get back over there. I definitely be making content, definitely a full ship tour. So even though it's my first time on Resilient Lady, because I've been on others in the same exact class, Virgin doesn't change their ships too much, even within the classes. I mean, sometimes I feel like Royal likes to change the name of something. It's the same exact place, but they like to call it something different. And so for a ship tour, it can be a little complex, but with Virgin Voyages, that's not going to be the case. Everything really is the same exact name that I'm already familiar with. I already know the floor plan and how to get around. So really looking forward to debuting how these ships are aging over there. I know that they took some, I'll call it design risk on how they decorated the interior design of the place. The floor plan we've definitely talked about. It's a little on the cumbersome side on Virgin Voyages. If you have not been, it takes a little bit to get used to. Not as much as a C class with MSC. That takes the cake on taking some adjustment. Still love the class of ship, by the way. But Virgin Voyages, you'll be walking and all of a sudden you come into a dead hallway, or you'll come into a restaurant and you can't get there from here. You're constantly saying that. And I think that they've increased their signage. When they first came out, signage was a really big issue. They just didn't have signs pointing you anywhere. It was quite frustrating, but I think they've gotten a lot better at this point. Kevin, how are you? Love Boston. I'm actually going up there towards the end of August. So I am very excited. I see end of August. Yeah, end of August, I'm going to be in Boston and get to see some friends of mine up there. So still, I don't know if you know or not, but I lived in Boston for 11 years. And so 2006 to 17, absolutely loved my time in Boston. Still miss it. I still miss what the friend groups and everything I had. I mean, I like Miami, don't get me wrong, but I think there's just something about the first place you move after the college years, after you're done with education. It was such a good time, and the memories will always be there. Do love some Boston. So welcome to the chat, Kevin. Hey, Jaden, welcome. I was getting on you in the comments. I'm like, I've not seen you over here. Where you been? Welcome back as always. So great question. So Luke here is asking about Virgin Voyages, and so I was moaning and griping about my biggest complaint with them is that you have to make dinner reservations in their restaurants, and so they do not have a main dining room like most cruise ships. I actually don't know of a cruise ship that I've ever been on that didn't have a main dining room or a place where you can just walk in and you know you're going to have a seat. On Virgin Voyages, they took a very different approach to it. And they said, we're going to have some really excellent restaurants. And they've got like five of them, give or take. And when they built them, they didn't build them with enough seats because they are popular. They are good. And most people, when you're on a cruise, you want to get dressed up, you want to be fancy, and you want to go to the dining room, you want to go to the restaurant, and they just did not build theirs big enough. I think whoever was designing it said, okay, so many people are going to want to go to their food hall. And so they do not have a quote unquote buffet where you walk around. They're going to have more of a food hall environment. And so if you don't get into one of the restaurants and you just cannot make it into one, normally you can always get into Razzle Dazzle. They can seat you last minute. You can work with their team to see if they can squeeze you in. But if you just don't, they do have this food hall, and it's got multiple vendors all around it where you go up and it's almost feel like you're at a mall food court, if you will. They're all serving different things. There's different take. You'll have Asian, you'll have hot dogs in one, you'll have Southern in another one, what have you, a salad one. They have different sections that they're going to serve you in this place. The menu for this, and this is where I've given them a little bit of a hard time, and this could be dated because I've not been on them in a while, but that dining area serves the same stuff for lunch and for dinner. And so you do have quite the number of options, but they don't change. So when you're in a buffet on other cruise lines, you'll have Caribbean night, you have Italian night, it'll kind of mirror what they're serving in the dining room. Here, it's just what that food vendor, for lack of a better term, is going to be serving, and that's kind of what you get. They will have a rotating special that they'll do every night, but for the most part, the same kind of food. It is a nice experience. I don't mind eating there, but it is very different than a buffet, and the food in the restaurant is just so much better that that's just not where you want to go to. So hopefully, Luke of all trades, I see what you did there. That's a good answer to that question. So you don't go to the buffet, you go to the food hall, but it serves a very similar purpose. It is. I'm a little behind on getting to the comments here, but it is on Resilient Lady is where I'm going to be going. So excited to check her out. They're all the same with Virgin Voyages, so it's not like going to a completely new ship. Hey, Chad, your transatlantic is in 4 months and late getting insurance. Should I do insurance with a celebrity or independent insurance? Who do I use? So great question. And I would say that I am not the insurance expert here. If you are 4 months out, you can still get insurance. I don't think that you're necessarily late to it. It's funny, my Virgin sailing that I've been talking about, Virgin just sent me an email literally 2 days ago for sailing next week, being like, hey, why don't you buy the insurance? And so there are still things that insurance will cover even this far out, such as getting sick on the ship, things of that nature. If you are looking for the bells and whistles that are out there, such as cancel for any reason or your cancellation policy, trip delay, those kind of things, you're going to want to look towards like the alliances of the world. That's probably one of the biggest ones that I have heard of. Me personally, I am pretty set that I'm going to make it on my cruise. If anything comes, like I will be there. For a big one like a TA, a transatlantic, it does get a little bit more complex. Though I have never purchased insurance for the bells and whistles policies, if you will, and so I've not gone through that. I've never had to use it. The only times I've ever not shown up for a cruise and kind of lost my money was when my father got sick and subsequently passed away. I think I missed out on 4 weekend trips during that period of time, and I would gladly do it again. But the reason I call that out is that, in all of my 100 and almost 80 cruises now, 4 of them I've missed. And so the insurance, it's not cheap when you buy that insurance. It is a expensive policy, often can be based on the value of what you're looking at. But I could miss those 4 cruises and I'm still, coming out well. Especially if it's a Miami ship, like I'm clearly going to make it to the port. What I would recommend, and take a look at this. If you want the bells and whistles, definitely look at it, see what's because you may have thoughts that something could come up. But what I get is an annual policy for medical only, and it's through a company that used to be called Geo Blue. I really should see if they would sponsor me because I'm actually a big fan of this. Um, but it is not called Geo Blue anymore, but it is called Blue Cross Blue Shield's Global Solution. So it is through Blue Cross and Blue Blue Cross and Blue Shield is who sponsors it. They just changed the name on it. They've always owned it, but they will allow you to do what I call a catastrophic medical policy. And so for me, as a 43-year-old male, it takes about $175, give or take, for an annual policy, which you all know that I very much so get my money's worth out of. So it's going to cover me should I get sick while I'm out, should I need an evacuation, a helicopter, should my body need to be repatriated. It is for really big ticket items. It is not for the run of the mill stuff. And I've gotten sick on my last 3 land trips, actually. Luckily, none of them required medical attention. And quite frankly, I don't know that I even thought about checking to see what benefits I would get through the global solutions with Blue Cross Blue Shield. But I do have that for $185 to me. That's or 175. That's a decent policy to cover the things that are going to be absolutely catastrophic that I would absolutely want to turn over to somebody else. So hopefully that answers your question there. I know it comes up in the Facebook groups oftentimes, so you might want to check there just to see who the other players are because I don't really stay up on those conversations. Point choice, you absolutely do have to keep up with have I requested it? Have I not? And I think, I hate to tell on myself, this may be where I went wrong on the last one where they took all my points away, is I could not remember if I submitted for points choice or not to have my celebrity points moved to Royal Caribbean. And I did it again. I did it a second time, or I say second time. Who knows if it was second or first? I did it again to be on the safe side. And so because of that, I think that it may have caused a little bit of an issue. So for those of you that have done it, they don't send you a confirmation email. There's nothing saying that, hey, we've received it, we've got it. And so you have no way to validate that you actually did it down the road. So it has now made its own little new check mark on my spreadsheet so that I know that if I've requested it or not at this point. So you got to stay on top of these things because it is getting difficult to keep track of it all. Craig, the Margaritaville brand is not one that I am well versed on. Those ships are old in general. They are repurposed from other cruise lines. I've not been on one yet. I keep looking at it, especially the one out of West Palm. It used to do more, it actually used to do only 2 nights, and that was probably a better fit for me. Now it's doing a lot more three, fours, fives. And every time I get a weekend where I can actually go, it's not doing a weekend cruise that weekend. And so I've really been missing out. But I imagine I'm just picturing the ships itself, how small they are, how old they are. I can't imagine that that is a decent, sizable fitness center. I don't see that being upgraded. It's just not a priority on cruise ships. It's really not. And so even Talk about Oasis class, Icon class. The number of people on these ships has doubled, and yet the gyms are the same exact size as they are on Brilliance of the Seas. It's kind of crazy to think about that they have the same number of machines. There's not really that much more. So gyms not revenue producing. They're not giving any additional money to the cruise line, and so they're using that space for either staterooms or for something that's massage spa related that they can charge you for. Chicago, bring Ran up and let's go out for drinks. Chad, that would be excellent. Hey, Ron, if you're still listening in, let us know if you can make it to Chicago. Chad, is that where you're at? If you are, I had forgotten that. I don't know that I'm going to get any free time. It is literally me on getting there at 10 a.m. and flying out the next day at 2. So it is a quick turn for that trip. Very nice on the benefit for the Royal One credit card. That is probably the biggest perk there, especially if you don't travel like me. If you are showing up like me, Jay, and you are getting to the cruise ship at 2:25 when all aboard is 2:30, or you're getting there at 3:15 when it is 3:30, doesn't matter. It's going to be closed. Believe it or not, the Retreat Suites Lounge and the Pinnacle side closes if you get there too late. And so I rarely get those benefits because I just don't show up in time. Luckily, there's literally no line anywhere, and so I just walk on through when I get there. But you don't get the. I miss the food on Celebrity, especially Terminal 25 in Fort Lauderdale. I do like going up there because they've got some really nice food. Normally, I've not eaten anything on the way to the ship. You got to work on it. I'd come with you. Jaden, you think Discovery will be as big as Quantum, but will be made to tender and go in the Panama Canal like 2005 Disney Adventure? Very possibly it could be. So the Panama Canal has changed. It's gotten bigger over the years, and they can do a lot more. 205,000 gross tons is still a sizable ship. So we will see what they actually wind up doing with it, but it's going to be a large ship, and so it's going to have, I think, less number of people on it, but it's still going to be a really good size. Very nice on being able to go out every quarter on out of Cape Liberty. So they do have some good options that are up there. They've been cycling through a lot of cruise ships out of Cape Liberty recently. Do you ever do any out of, let me see if I can remember the name of it, out of Boston at the Eagle Terminal? Is that what it's called, Kevin? Um, Black Falcon, Black Eagle Cruise Terminal? Let me know in the comments what that's called. That's going to bother me. It's a bird of some kind, I feel like. A falcon, maybe? I've only gone out of it once. Luckily for me, of course, the way my life works is I'd been living in Boston for 11 years, booked my first Boston cruise versus flying down to Florida. And then I promptly moved to Florida right after I do that. So I wound up having to fly back to Boston just to go on the cruise. But I could walk to the cruise port from my old house because I was a Southie kid when I lived up there. And I could even hear, I remember when the Queen Elizabeth, Queen Anne, one of them made its first round in Boston. I could hear it, and so the horn blaring, walked over, got to see the ship, and kind of, cruise ship geeked out a little bit, which I loved. Mega Rockstar, not happening anytime in this lifetime. The rooms are nice, but they are very expensive to get that kind of treatment with Virgin Voyages. So, Virgin Voyages, every cruise line has its own concept and name to their suite section. And so, Virgin's is the Rockstar Quarters. I think Royal Caribbean's is probably the least creative. It's a suites neighborhood, is what they call theirs. You've got the Haven, you've got the Yacht Club, you've got different ones that are out there, but they are all apparently really good. But I've stayed in the suites a few times on Royal Caribbean because they give me certificates and things like that that I can use. But all the other ones, I have never been able to do it. Um, Jay, like, I do wish that I had a better setup at home so that you all didn't have to see some of this. The green screens that I can use are just, I don't like green screens because the gray hair, it chops off. For whatever reason, it doesn't see the gray. It's white. And so it'll like flatten my head or just take it off completely. So I have to kind of show you, voila, everything I've got back here. The tote bag that you see there by Marc Jacobs, Actually came from a Virgin Sailing, and that is my to-go bag for cruises. So it's got the fan in there. There's the sunscreen. That's my grab and go bag for when cruises come. But I don't need more shoes. I honestly just need to trash the ones that are there. I'm the worst for owning that many shoes, and I wear the pair right here, that white pair, which honestly the tread's almost gone. These are my gym shoes here. That's kind of it. My dress shoes I keep at work because I walk over there and don't want to ruin them. But I do need more shoes. I do. I need to trash those and get some I'll actually wear. Hey, Vegan Stud, Florida, welcome back. Sean here, met you a couple of times on Silhouette last year. Are you heading back on Reflection this summer? I don't know that I have one booked right now. Let me look. I do not. So I actually just got off Reflection 2 weeks ago. Was my last one that I have booked. But if I go on another cruise this weekend, just telling everybody, I am looking at maybe doing one in 2 weeks. I'm booking a lot more closer out. So just because I don't have it booked doesn't mean I'm not going because the prices are actually decent to be booking during the summer and to be booking pretty close out. I don't know what happened with the dynamic pricing or if the newer ships they're just getting so expensive that everybody's wanting to go there and it's giving us a really good price advantage for the older smaller ships like the Celebrity Reflection. But I do plan on getting back over there at least once or twice, hopefully this summer. I like to stay at least one a month. The summer, actually in the past 3 years I haven't cruised any in the summer. I've always had to take it off. My job has luckily changed. I have more free time now, and so I do have more of the benefit of doing that. But would love to see you again. It's always great getting to run into people on the cruise ships, and so that's it's really nice to walk on and be like, oh, I've got more friends on cruise ships than I do on land, which is a very true story. I definitely have a ton of people there. A back to back in August is going to be excellent. I can't do a back to back on it, but I will keep it in mind. She's also pulling out of doing weekends for a little while. And so I'll naturally just have to take time off there. But Celebrity Reflection, I'm always stack ranking where I want to go. It's probably my go to right now. And as much as I hate to admit this, I am actually chasing status with Royal Caribbean. Like you all think I'm crazy, probably. Um, but I'm within the 1750 milestone with Royal Caribbean in the Current Anchor Society. And so I get another free junior suite when I hit that. And so I'm really looking to do more celebrity these days. I'm not really interested in doing a lot of Royal coming up, though I do have the Brilliance of the Seas coming up at the end of November. But yeah, I'm kind of chasing status to get to that 1750. I'm not that far away from it. I am at 1677 now, so I've got about 80 more points to go. And so I'm trying to make a quick order of that. And I think the Celebrity Reflection is a great way to do that. So, traveling full, only been on NCL doing a celebrity as solo. How much culture shock? So it's interesting. I'll address this from the opposite perspective because I just got back from my NCL gateway or getaway cruise about a month ago now. And I need to make a video content for it. I need to script it because I didn't enjoy it. It was so different than any other cruise line I've been on. And I have been on Virgin, MSC, Carnival, Royal, Celebrity. I've got 5 cruise lines under my belt at this point. Fixing to get Princess on there later this year. And NCL was so tremendously different. It was a really tough adjustment to learn what I could buy, what I couldn't buy. What does this marketing even mean? What am I really paying for? And so hopefully it'll be a culture shock for you, but hopefully it'll be a good one. I know NCL has a reputation amongst the solo travel community because of their solo lounge and places you can hang out there. But honestly, like us solo cruisers, we're everywhere. We're on all the cruise lines at this point. So you definitely will still see the meetups. You're definitely going to find other people by themselves, or you're just going to have people take you under your wing, under their wing, if you want that, or you can just fly under the radar. But I think you're going to be in really good shape, especially on Celebrity. I think that's probably a good one to go on as your next solo stop to kind of see how you're going to do there. But I think it'll go well for you. At least I really like Celebrity, as I was just talking. So actually, I do have Celebrity Beyond coming up. So that's going to be one of my next 7 nights that I'm going to do. Hey, Karen, welcome back. Oh, thank you as always. I don't know why I never think to even say this, but if you have not pressed the thumbs up button, please make sure you're doing that so we can get more people on here with cruise questions to give us some things to talk about. So that's the favorite part that I have is just coming, interacting with you all and answering your questions, seeing what you're thinking, and just making sure I'm having a sanity check on what I'm thinking. So you all are also a sounding board for me. So thank you, Karen, for that little press the thumbs up reminder for us. Celebrity reflections, Beth, over Thanksgiving. We are not big partiers. Will that be okay? I've heard they can be booze cruises. You will be okay. So, yes, celebrity tends to be an older crowd. So you're not going to have a lot of kids there, though. Even celebrity reflection is getting to where they do have more kids on it these days, mainly because I think parents look at the other ships that are really targeted to kids and the prices are just through the roof. And so they're now going, well, why don't we just do a celebrity ship? Yeah, it doesn't have all the stuff for the kids, but we're going to save thousands of dollars. And so that's a very valid point that they make. And so I think we're starting to see more kids because of that. With that being said, weekends are just different. And so I just made a video kind of, when was this? Like a month ago, talking about 7 nights are different because I hadn't done a 7 night in ages. And so if you're going on a weekend cruise, it will have an element of booze cruisiness to it. Celebrity, I will say, has the least amount because it's an older crowd. And so, yes, the drink package will be bought by majority of the people that are there, but you're not going to feel like you're in a club the entire time. You're going to have a really good experience. There will be people out and about. There is a nightlife that comes with a celebrity reflection on the weekends, which you don't get on other celebrity ships. So I will say you're going to be absolutely fine. Over Thanksgiving, I'm seeing that now. You probably actually will have a lot more kids because holiday weekends traditionally do get more children. But you're going to be fine. You're still going to have the shows. You're going to have the ABBA sing along in the main Centrum there, which is my personal favorite thing to do and my mom's favorite thing. But go have a good time. I wouldn't worry about the booze cruise element as much as if you were telling me you're going on Utopia, Wonder of the Seas, even Jewel of the Seas with Royal Caribbean. I would say it'd be more of a booze cruise kind of mentality to it. Carnival Conquest, actually, just to go back, I did Carnival Conquest probably 4 months ago for the first time, expecting it to be like a mass booze cruise because I'm used to weekends, which are a booze cruise. I went to Carnival because they have a bit of a reputation, and it was one of the most relaxing cruises I've ever had. It's like for a weekend, like I super enjoyed it. Totally blew me out of the water on how nice of a relaxing of an experience it was. But I think that they've heard the feedback on Carnival that hey, they're a little over the top with their partying and their fun, and so they've dialed back the atmosphere to make it more social, more upbeat, but not that party hardy kind of atmosphere you may find on some of the cruises. And so I really enjoyed it. So actually looking at some of their pricing for another sailing. So who knows? You might see me back on Carnival once again, especially as I'm playing this short game that I keep talking about, booking cruises really close to when they are selling, just based on my schedule right now. So we will see. Kevin, I was so close. It is the Black Falcon Terminal. Super convenient, super easy to get to. I think it is the only cruise port in the world that you can take mass transit to. I think that that is the accurate statement that the Silver Line, which is a bus subway, it's quite bewildering what it actually is. But I think it is the only cruise line in the U.S. that you can get, or cruise port that you can get to in the U.S. via mass transit. Seattle might be the only other one I'm thinking about, but that's going to be it. Outside of the US, absolutely, you definitely can take a train, a subway. I took a subway to Singapore and got on a cruise ship there, which was so easy. Craig coming in with his Boston knowledge. Love all the Boston history in here. I was so close to it. I knew it was something like that. It's amazing. I've been gone, what year are we in? 2026. I've been gone for 9 years now. And so it's tough to think about, all the memories. You can tell that they're starting to slip. Time moves on and there's new experiences. Hey, cruise tubers, welcome back. Love seeing you all here. Jaden, cruises are just the best. I've never met a cruise that I do not enjoy. I say that. I did not like the NCL ship. I know I keep giving it a bad time and teasing you guys with content. I need to just make the video on why they annoyed me so bad. But I think that in all of my cruises, that's the only one I walked off the ship being like, that was not good. All of them, even whatever issues they may have, I normally can figure it out. We can push on through. That is one where it just couldn't really happen. Cruise tubers, you might be able to help. Somebody earlier was asking about Margaritaville at Sea, which is what MASS stands for here. Curious when they're going to upgrade their fitness centers. I've never been on Margaritaville, but let me know what you think of the fitness centers they have there. I'm sure, given the age of the ship, the size of the ship, it's probably super small and dated. But let me know your thoughts if you have visited the fitness center or taken a peek at it. Oh, Karen dipping her toes into celebrity. I love it. Can't wait to try the lineup and the ship. You're gonna enjoy celebrity. Karen, I'm trying to remember what line you normally do, but whatever it is, I mean, celebrity is my favorite at this point. That is the one. If the price is right, I will go there. You all know MSC is my hard second these days for quality and value. I can still get really good deals over there. Even that's the one I'm talking about in 2 weeks. I can jump on a ship literally in 2 weeks for $400, like just by myself in the room, no double occupancy or anything like that. So super excited about that. So Karen, you're going to have a wonderful time. Reflection is a truly fantastic ship. Only until this Thursday. So you're going to have to come back the next live stream, which by the way could be on Monday of next week, or it might wind up being the following week based on my schedule. And let us know how your experience was venturing out. I think NCL has a really strong reputation with people that like it, really like it. And so to go somewhere else, it's going to be a new world for you. Hey there, Joseph. Looking to do a weekend cruise going out of Florida for your wife and plus two teenage boys. Would you recommend Carnival Conquest Glory or MSC Seaside? I already have Seashore scheduled for November. So of those that you just recommended, I have done the Carnival Conquest and I've done the Seaside numerous times. Carnival Conquest I've done once. The Glory, same exact ship. And so with Carnival Conquest and Glory, you're going to find an older ship. She's been really well kept up. She does have things for the kids to do. They've got some clubs, they've got the slides, they've got all that kind of stuff to it. I am personally a big MSC fan, though. I would say go with the Seaside. I think there's probably going to be more to do. It is a much larger ship. It's probably twice the size of the Conquest ships, Conquest and Glory. So if you can make it down here to Miami, and you've got two of them on here in Miami, so I assume that you're going to be good to go. I would say do the Seaside would be my personal pick of these three, but you can't go wrong with any of them. I think Carnival's done a really good job, as I was just talking about, with their weekends and keeping those older ships up. So no wrong answers here. But definitely let us know which one you wind up picking up. I think the kids will probably gravitate towards the Seaside a little bit more just because it's bigger. There's more things to do. And the more chance that they're going to find other kids that they can run around with. Ooh, let's talk about this, Jaden. Are they building a new train line to head over to Port Miami? They like to talk about it. They like to do studies about it. But will it ever actually happen? Absolutely not. There is no way that my mind, with our city government, our county government, wrap my head around the fiasco that is getting transit to the port. And the reason that I say that is there's no easy solution. And so, as you all know, we're in Florida, and Miami has the most robust transit in Florida. And we talked about this some on the last live, how I kind of geek out on my transit. But it's old, like, and it's kind of falling apart, and they can barely keep it running most days. So they've got some options here. I think the easiest one for them to do, the one that makes the most sense to me, is extending the Metro Mover. And so we've got really three different kind of trains. You got your MIA mover, which is an airport mover to get you to car rental center. You've got the Metro Rail that runs from the airport and comes into downtown here, which then connects to the Metro Mover. The Metro Rail being a true rail-based subway-like system. Metro Mover is something from 1978 that is somehow still in service, runs on tires, and it is autonomous. Pretty neat that they had that technology so long ago. That would make the most sense to me because, especially at the Port Miami, you all know it is really long. So if you have a train that comes and stops and at just one place. If they do a true subway, you'd have one station. You're not going to have multiple stations over there. And I don't think that they have the land to move this subway unless they put it elevated over there. They can do that for the Metro Rail because that has a much smaller, or Metro Mover because it has a much smaller framework to it. But it could actually stop at each individual station, which I think would be really cool. Even if it ran shuttles to the main rail, I think we'd be in really good shape. It would cost probably $1 billion to do it. And I just don't see it happening in anybody's lifetime. And I should say, I did lie to you all. Miami does have transit to the cruise port. It is not good, and it does not service all of the terminals. It only services a select few of them. So if you want to get into the cruise port, you can absolutely take a Miami trolley over there. It's not convenient. I don't recommend it for tourists unless you know exactly how to do it. But that is something that goes over there that I wish that they would expand. But I say that, and Jaden, I'll talk a little bit about the bigger, it's almost a scandal at this point in Miami. And so, for those of you that are familiar with cruise ships need fuel to run. How much fuel do you think a cruise ship needs? And when you've got you got 11 berths over here where you can park 11 ships at one time in Miami. How much fuel do you think that is? Where do you think it comes from? And so this is something that I quite frankly had never thought about up until recently. And so many of you probably have seen the fuel tankers. They come up beside the ship and they'll fuel the ship. And so a lot of you have seen that. Oftentimes the captain or somebody will come on making an announcement about, hey, don't go smoking on the starboard side right now because you could blow everything up. Please don't do that. And so that fuel, interesting enough, from that ship comes from Fisher Island. So Fisher Island, for those of you that have been to Miami, you'll recognize it as the luxury island that you have to take a ferry to get to. It's got a fuel area there where they store all of this fuel that they use for the cruise ships and is absolutely vital to cruise ships running. Shocker, right? So I share this story with everybody because that land, the fuel tanks that is, was put up for sale. And so somebody bought the fuel tanks, somebody with a lot of money for $200 million. They bought the fuel tanks and they want to convert it into high rises or condos and remove the fuel tanks from Fisher Island. Should they do that, there's no fuel for the cruise ships anymore. And there's really nowhere that you can just go and put, I don't know how many barrels of fuel or oil or whatever it is they're storing over there. You can't just pick that up and be like, oh, we just put it a couple of blocks down. It's an environmental thing that they got to think through. And so somebody bought it and wants to turn it into condos. And so the city at this point finally realized, I don't know if it's city, county, government officials, I'll put them all in one, finally said, we need to, if cruise ships are bringing in literally 80,000 people in one day to our little city, they're bringing it, that's a huge economic impact there, right? That we want to make sure that these cruise ships can stay. And in order for them to stay, they might need fuel. They might have to get some fuel in them so that we can keep them. And so after the fuel tanks had already been sold, which the city knew was for sale, they chose not to buy it. Somebody else bought it, threatening to tear it up. They came back and said, you know what? This is really important land. We probably should buy that. And so they agreed to buy it for $400 million, double what it was available for initially, and that they had plenty of opportunities to buy. The person selling it was basically trying to give it to the city saying, hey, this is important to the city. Like, you really should buy this. They're like, no, we're good. We're good. All of a sudden now at 400 million, they're like, you know what? We need this. This is a really good buy for us. And so they signed a contract to make that happen. Fast forward, all this is really hitting the news just recently, actually. The people that signed those contracts that chose not to buy it have all resigned. The city is taking a lot of heat for not buying this when they could have. And the contract for 400 million has actually been canceled at this point. I don't know how the math worked on that or the legalese worked, but they canceled the contract to buy the fuel tanks for the cruise ships. And so now they are trying a different route. So instead of paying for it, now they're just going to try to take it via eminent domain. And so again, governments can do that. I don't know exactly how it's going to work in this specific situation. And then they're going to have to still buy it for what is considered a reasonable amount. And so, not a lawyer, but when somebody buys something for eminent domain, they give you the fair market value for it. If the city had signed a contract for, this is my personal opinion, this isn't in the news. If the city had signed a contract for $400 million and said they were willing to pay that for this land, my personal take is that they've got a really good case to say, hey, fair market value for this is $400. You'd already signed a contract for $400. So if you're going to take it via eminent domain, you need to pay us what the market value is, which is $400, which is what you already agreed to. We'll see if they let them stick to the 200 amount that they were initially offering it for, but that has been quite the scuttlebutt here in Miami on what's going to happen to those fuel reserves. Because as you all know, cruise ships need fuel. They need a heck of a lot of fuel. So we'll see what actually winds up happening to that and how that story plays out. I'm really interested to see where that's going to go. But I'm certainly following it. If I hear of anything worthwhile to mention to you all, I will. Hopefully, the city is going to figure it out, but it might be through a tax referendum where they have to charge me more money in order to make that happen. YC Ward, hope to see you on one of our cruises. My hubby has been getting free cruises from the casino. Very well done. Those free cruises, I always correct people, are prepaid. They are not free per se, unless you are just a really good gambler. And I don't know many people that are. Me personally, I failed at it miserably. I tried my best, and I got a lot of those free cruises. It didn't work out well, but I would love to meet you all on a cruise. If you are doing weekends, that's probably the best shot, especially if you're doing Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Rarely do I make it up to Canaveral these days unless there's a ship I want to go to. And because MSC's weekend, it's a Thursday to Sunday up there. And then Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas is really expensive. It is right behind Disney at this point on their weekend pricing. And so haven't really been going up there much. But if you're coming south any, would love to see you guys. Joseph, a pleasure. You have to let us know which one you wind up going with, but hopefully you all have a blast. Haven't been at Port Miami, doing an Airbnb across the street, having a coffee at Cafe Papillion. I'll be on board the Wonder, buy you a coffee. Hey, if it works out, Kevin, always glad to do that. The problem with my schedule for most people is they come for non-weekends. And so your ship is probably going to sail on Saturday or Sunday. Wonder, luckily, I see it now, is actually doing weekends. So that will actually work. But normally people are here on Saturday and Sunday or Friday when we're all getting ready to go on a ship. And I don't get a chance to meet people. But if it works out, let me know. Are you staying at the Elser Hotel? That's the one Airbnb I think that's right over here. If you are staying there, let me know. We'll see if it works out. I definitely meet people for coffee when they come into town. So if it works out, let me know. Send me the date and information. Cafe Papillion is great. I definitely do more Starbucks, but we can decide that later on. Karen, that's right. I forgot you were a Virgin person. Are you going on the June 18th sailing on Virgin, Karen? That would be wonderful. I will be there if you will. That'll make my night if we're going to be on a ship together. Definitely try them all. And so I do love that strategy, Karen, of getting to Carnival, to MSC, NCL, all the big name ones. It's something that I wish I would have done sooner. As great as Royal Caribbean was to me over the years, it has been so freeing, so liberating to really be able to choose outside of that ecosphere. And so I have really enjoyed my time on other cruise lines. I've enjoyed not always having to pay as much. I've enjoyed single supplement discounts that I'm not getting on Royal Caribbean like I used to. There's a lot of great things out there. And you also start to see, as different as those cruise lines are, they're all the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. You're going to have the same movies, the same Majority Rules game show. You're going to have the quest on all the say on the cruise lines. You're going to have similar comedian acts. You're going to have similar singers and dancers. it's a lot of the same kind of stuff, just packaged up a wee little bit different. But it does help keep it fresh. If you're going to be cruising with a little frequency, and it sounds like you are, Karen, it'll definitely help keep it fresh and keep you entertained. Okay, I think I already got to this one comment here, Kevin. I'm a little behind. Rose Ferrari, where have you been all my life? I've not seen you in one of the recent live streams that I've done. Welcome back. I used to see you all the time. All right, were you here last weekend? Now I'm confused. I don't think you were. I think it's been a while, but welcome back. Every time you set out of Miami, you wind up taking Uber to the cruise port. If there's one thing you need, it's more of a public transit system together. Absolutely. And so we talked about this before of how do we solve the bottleneck of all the cars that are going to Port Miami, specifically around 10 to 12:30, 1 o'clock, which is peak boarding and debarkation time. And the only solution is better transit. You got to find a way to get people from the mainland over to the cruise ships, and you've got to find a way to do that in a cost effective manner. Because for me personally, I can take a ride share to Terminal AA, which is the furthest away for MSC, for under $10 for me. And so if you are two, three people, you can take a cab for $10. If you need an XL, 15. And so it'll give you door to door service. And so they've got to make sure they're not charging too much for it, or people just won't utilize it. But that's the main answer to how do we get those lines down as transit. The only other thing is if they start enforcing our boarding times. The cruise lines don't do that now. I used to not talk about it because, I never like telling you all how to avoid following rules. If they say you need to be there between 1 and 1:30, I'm not going to tell you any different. But I think at this point it is well known enough that they don't turn you away. If you want to show up at 10 o'clock and your boarding time isn't until 10:30, cheers. Good on you. Sure, why not? And because I think that they see you being on board sooner, they can make more revenue. I don't know. But the only other solution I can think for all the traffic is to start enforcing that, which of course Royal will wind up making money off of that because they'll say, hey, you either need our credit card to come in early or you need to buy the key or some other feature to get an earlier boarding time. And so Royal Caribbean, I think, is the master of creating problems and then charging us to fix it. And so I would not be surprised if this winds up being a money play down the road. Very smart move on the people who bought it. And I don't know that they ever intended to put condos on top of old fueling stations. Seems like there's a lot of mitigation that have to do a lot of cleanup, and they'd have to sink a lot of money into it. But this is the safest area in the world, I think is what it's ranked. You have to take a ferry to get over there. It is crazy expensive to live over there. So they can sell very small studios for a very large sum. And the HOA over there, by the way, because you got to keep the ferries running and all this kind of stuff, you're looking at paying, if you're in a studio over there for, let's say a few hundred square feet, probably about $8,000 a month in your HOA bill. It is not a cheap place to live. So I'm sure they probably could still make some money, but we'll see how that plays out. The courts, I hadn't even thought about that. By the time they go through and litigate all this, because it's going to wind up in lawsuits, it's absolutely going to wind up costing us $600 million. That is very well called out. Hitting Prime on Royal for free cruises and offers worth it. That is great, Jaden. I'm glad that people can successfully do this. Like I try not to knock it too bad, but every time I hear somebody being like, "Oh, they're getting these free cruises and like the casino's totally worth it," I just go, "How did I mess this up so bad?" Like I just wasn't. Gambling was not for me. I did such a horrible job, and so I'm not saying that you all aren't making it worth your while, but I lost money hand over fist in that casino, and it was absolutely not. That free cruise at $1,500 would cost me easily $2,000 to $2,500 to get that free cruise, valued at what, $800, and so it wasn't worth it for me. I try not to be too harsh on people who love it because I know people love it, love it. I can't. All right, Karen. Unfortunately, not the 18th. When I say next few days, you mean like, oh, how are you going to beat me over there? So you'll actually be getting off when I'm getting on, then, Karen. So please make sure that you get them ready for me. Let them know that I'm going to be coming on board. I would like some dinner reservations that I mentioned earlier. If you can, help me out a little bit with talking to a maitre d' to help me out some would be greatly appreciated. Oh, so you weren't. I wasn't making this up, but as soon as that name came through, like it's interesting, and it's amazing to me being a YouTuber, being a blogger, that I get to build relationships with you all. And so don't know you, haven't met you, but I feel like I know you. I feel like I've met you. I see the names and I go, oh, it's Rose Ferrari. This is a friend of mine that has come into the chat. And so it is fantastic. It's also why I really love meeting people in person because now I can actually associate a real human being to the screen name here. And so I know that, the screen names have real people behind them. But when this is all that I'm seeing, it's just so nice for someone to be like, "Hey, you're Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser," and I see them come through. I know them personally now. It makes a huge difference, and it's always fascinating to me how much value people put in the content that I'm putting out there, and I do not take that lightly for 1 second. That I know people are basing pretty big decisions sometimes on my feedback. And so just something that I'm forever grateful for. So a pleasure to have you back. Go to Beth here. You live in Minnesota, so only cruise once a year and usually for 7 days. I wish that I could do more 7 days, Beth. Absolutely. And you've done Celebrity and Princess. You love Princess. We are younger than most people, but the food is fabulous. That is really good for me to hear. So, my Princess sailing that I have coming up at the end of November is the Transatlantic. So, I'm going to be bringing the Sky Princess from the UK back to Florida for 15 days. My first Princess Cruise is for 15 days, which might be a little bit of a mistake. Maybe I should do a 7 night on her. Princess doesn't do weekends. Closest thing she's got is she will do some Alaska samplers for 3 and 4 nights out of Seattle, but I've never been able to bring myself to do that. So it's good that you mentioned it's a bit of an older crowd as well, or maybe you're on the younger side for it. It's something I've thought about. I'm sure for this transatlantic crossing, it's probably going to skew even older than what Princess traditionally does. I always joke that the length of the sailing absolutely correlates to the age of the people on the ship. The longer the cruise, the more senior the demographic is going to be there. Super excited to check out Princess. I did convince my mother to come with me, so I'll have a partner in crime for these 15 nights. Very excited about that. It's 50 nights in a room by myself, especially with 8 sea days in a row. Is it, I think it's 8 sea days in a row. Maybe it's 10 sea days in a row. It's a lot of sea days in a row, you guys, that I've never done before. And so that would have been a lot. So I'm super excited. She's going to be joining me for this and certainly more content to come out on, hey, what do I think about Princess? A new cruise line added to the list. Any must-dos on Virgin's Bimini Beach Club? First time doing Bimini in Key West. Great timed question because I was just researching that this weekend on what do I want to do on my Virgin sailing, which has the same schedule that you're talking about here with Bimini and Key West. So honestly, in Bimini, you do get the beach club included. If you would not have, if you went on a royal ship or a celebrity, you still can get into the beach club, but it's going to cost you about $45, $50 per person. And don't hold me on that. If you want a cheat code there, tell them you came over on the Balleria ferry ship. It is a lower price for those people than it is for the cruise ship people. So if they ask you what ship you came on and the Balleria is sitting out there, make sure you say the Balleria and they'll give you the cheaper of the prices. But if you're on Virgin, it is going to be included. Honestly, there's nothing that you need to really think about or do. It is a beach club, so you're going to have music playing, especially by the pools. I would get out there early if you want a seat by the pool, you want an umbrella. They've got a gorgeous beach as well, lots of great water out there that I've always gotten into. Do watch out for jellyfish, though. I've seen them there a few times. If you want a cabana, Book it early. That is my biggest take there. They will sell out. They don't have many of them at all. Lunch will also be included while you are there. Drinks are not included at the Bimini Beach Club. So hopefully that very quick rundown helps a little bit. Warren, welcome to the chat. Welcome back. Tiffany, getting ready to go in Utopia for a 4 night midweek sailing for the second time. We love ideas on enjoying the ship more. This time without super party vibe. This sailing works for the schedule. So first of all, the 4 nights, we'll have less of a party vibe. That is that Monday to Friday, kind of cruise. And it's going to skew a little bit older too, because if you're doing a 4 night cruise, you're missing 4 exact days of work, you're missing 4 days of school for the kids. And so it does change the environment a little bit you're going to find there. Ideas on enjoying the ship more. Look, Utopia of the Seas, when it came out, was marketed as, the biggest weekend at sea. And by that, they meant the biggest party. It's also the first ship that started doing the pullest day at sea. And that is now across Royal Caribbean and Carnival ships when they have a day club by the pool, basically. The music on Utopia, and I'm sure you experienced this last time, Tiffany, is so loud. Even me, who I'm used to weekends, I go there and I go, oh wow, this is really loud. You can even feel it inside at the suite deck area. The building, the ship kind of shaking a little bit and the sounds coming through. The poolist day can be exceptionally loud. What I would recommend on better ways to enjoy it is find your spots. So I'm somebody, I can be a creature of habit. I like knowing where I'm going and what it's going to be. The Trellis Bar on Utopia is always a solid hit. That's where I like spending a lot of my time because the Central Park neighborhood naturally brings the energy level down. They're going to have maybe a celloist, they'll have a string quartet, they'll have jazz, they'll have really easy listening music in the evenings. That's what I like doing at night. During the day, it's a lot different of a conversation. There is, I call it the quiet pool on the very far side, away from all the DJ and all that kind of stuff. You'll find it to be a little bit quieter, but it is tough to escape on Utopia. Hopefully, during the 4 nighter, it's going to be a little bit better. Let me know how it was the last time you were there. It sounds like it still was a bit of a party crowd, but yeah, that is one of the downsides of Utopia these days. They charge a lot of money first, and it can be definitely a party ship. Hey, Derek, you made it. Welcome. So glad that you are able to get here. It's amazing being consistent with these. This is my third week in a row that I've started them back. I have missed meeting you all, seeing people come into the chats. And so glad that you were able to come in and hang out with us, Derek. So T. Jonesy here was on the Sky Princess. It is one of their newer ships, is what I understand. And so the first time in 2025, it probably was still a pretty new ship at that point. I will say for my first transatlantic crossing, I'm actually quite glad that it's on a newer kind of ship because I know it's going to have better stabilizers. It's going to be able to withstand more. Some of the older ships just rock and roll a wee little bit more. Doesn't mean I'm not going to feel the motion in the ocean on the Sky Princess, but it means it should be able to regulate it a wee little bit more. Though honestly, I'm kind of of the mindset that hey, a rocking ship kind of makes for good stories. You're gonna remember it, but hopefully it won't be too bad or for too terribly long. So Tiffany, definitely, absolutely go on a Celebrity Edge ship. I just did Celebrity Ascent a month and a half ago, probably my first Edge class. She did a weekend, which normally I don't know that she's ever done a weekend before. As soon as I saw that they had that on the calendar officially, I booked it, got on. It was a wonderful time. I should have done it as a group cruise now that I'm thinking in hindsight. But it was my first Edge class ship and life changing. Let me tell you, like this ship, so beautiful. Love the concept of it. They did such a thoughtful job on designing this. Very few things were like, huh, that doesn't really make sense. And you'll see what it's going to be that's going to when you get there. But I had such a great time, and I came back and booked the Celebrity Beyond for my next 7 night sailing in September, just so I can go on another Edge class ship. So I am very excited for more of these. I had heard people talking about Edge classes before on how great they were, how they loved them, And I was like, is it really that much nicer, that much different? And it absolutely is. It is a wonderful experience. I had such a great time there and can't wait to go back on the Celebrity Beyond. If you only went to the free beach, you're looking for to try something a bit nicer. Definitely, if you're on Virgin, go to Bimini. If you're not, you still can go to the beach club at Bimini if you want to. Again, it's going to cost you a few dollars, but check it out. It's still a good time. When the Virgin ship is there, the place is packed. When it's not there, it's a lot more tame, I would say. And so it's an easier kind of vibe, which I also like. But the free beach, I don't know if that's the one you're saying is was pointing towards the ship. There's one right at the end of the pier that some people do as well. No, no October sailings at this point. I don't think. Actually, no, I don't, because I have a sabbatical with my full-time job, and so I'm going to be in Africa for most of October, and then November will be my transatlantic when I come back. Figured I was already over there. Why not? Listen, Terbots just got back from Bermuda on the Silhouette, beautiful ship. Immediately have cruise depression. Glad I'm on Beyond in a couple of months. I enjoy your content, Brandon. Thank you. Oh, thank you for taking a moment to just mention that. Always means a lot. I am excited for Beyond as well. If you're going in a couple of months, I don't. You'll probably beat me to it. I was gonna say I'll have a lot of content coming out probably towards the end of September on the Celebrity Beyond when I get there. But you're going to have to tell me this time, Tarbot, which what you thought of it, what I need to know if I'm getting ready to go there. Because you know I'm not going to research it myself. But if somebody puts it in front of me and I see it, then that's all fair game. So come back on one of the other live streams after you go on it and definitely let us know how it was. Oh, if the price was right, I would my order of operation here, celebrity. I would do celebrity weekend if the price is the same, hands down. From there, same price, Virgin. I struggle with this. Um, Either Virgin or MSC. I really like MSC. I know a lot of people don't want to believe that, but I really do appreciate MSC. I then probably would look to Carnival and then I would look to Royal. And it's feeling like Royal has really fallen from grace for me because I have seen over the years my desire to go on Royal has just gotten smaller and smaller. It's so many kids, the ships are over the top. It's a different crowd than what it used to be. And I'm finding that I'm really gravitating towards other cruise lines. Celebrity absolutely being my go-to choice at this point. But even Carnival, like I wouldn't mind it. Actually, NCL is going to be the bottom of the bucket. I would do Royal before I would do NCL. And I think this is the third time in this video that NCL's come up, and I've kind of dogged on them a little bit. I need to make that video why I will not go back on NCL. I just did my first NCL on Getaway last month and did not enjoy that experience. I think it is the only cruise I've ever walked away from, and I was like, oh, that was not good. So that'll be my final answer. It'll be Celebrity, Virgin, MSC, Carnival, Royal, NCL, all six of them. I gave you some extras that you didn't ask for, but I threw them in there. And then look, if we're going to put like the Four Seasons, if we're putting in there Explorer Journeys, like clearly I'd love to do one of those. The Ritz Carlton actually did have a weekend that posted, I don't know if it's sailed yet or not, but they did a weekend on the Ritz Carlton Yacht Club, which I would absolutely love to go on. But I kid you not, it was like $17,000 per person for 3 nights. Now, I can't even envision a world where for 3 nights, I'm going to spend 30,000 plus dollars, like $10,000 a day is what they are spending. And that just kind of, that blows my mind a little bit. I'd love to be in a situation where it doesn't. I am going to play my little lottery ticket at some point to see if I can change that. But that's over the top for me. But I'd love to do it. So Holden, Princess has great food, but you prefer their food over Celebrity. You actually prefer their food over Celebrity. Princess Pizza can be better than MSC's, but it depends on the pizza chef. Good information. So pizza on board Princess, keep me honest here, is not necessarily included, I don't think. I think it's considered casual dining. Again, when I go on cruises for the first time, you all probably be shocked by this. I don't research it. I don't actually look to see what I need to know going into it because I want what I experience to kind of be what I'm learning, what I'm taking on, what I wish I would have known, so that I can come back and share genuine thoughts with you all. So that's kind of my creative process. Is I don't research it. I just show up. I'm not a researcher. I don't want to know exactly what's going to happen because then I feel like I've already done it. But there, I have learned in researching mainly what is it, Princess Plus and Princess, the different packages that they have this thing called casual restaurants and specialty restaurants. And so their casual restaurants still require a bit of a fee. And I think that that's the piece that you're referring to here, Holden, but let me know. But if you like their food better than Celebrity, I'm going to be in good shape. I already love the food on Celebrity. Main dining room is absolutely fine with me over there. And if their food's going to be better than that, then I'm looking forward to it. I have been thinking, and for those of you that have taken Celebrity before, do I still have the math pulled up? So for the Princess Plus and the Princess Premium, let me know you all's thoughts. Actually, let me do a poll for this one. I am really curious to see what the group does for Princess. So on Princess, you've got Princess Premium and Princess Plus, and so it's going to combine different things. What do you do on Princess? And it's going to include drink package, dining package, a couple of casual restaurants, maybe some internet packages, gratuities are included, short excursion credit. They have all sorts of bells and whistles. None. I'm just typing out the poll here. Premium, oh, Princess Plus or Princess Premium. Princess Premium being the more expensive, more comprehensive one. But if you take Princess, let me know what you do. I just opened that poll up. I'm sure not everybody has done Princess, but if you had, I'd really love your feedback. I'm kind of getting into the weeds, trying to estimate, okay, if I drink, like I don't drink alcohol. If I have coffees and things like that, what's it going to cost me? Do I need the plus? What value am I getting? Is it premium? The premium's one that's literally, basically it's all inclusive at that point. I don't know that I need that, especially it's a 15-night cruise, right? And so over 15 nights, you take the math, and it's going to cost me an extra $1,500 to just have everything included because it's by the night is what they wind up charging it for. It's $100 by night. And I just feel like it's going to be, I don't know that I'm going to get $1,500 worth of value out of it. Even though gratuities are included, you do get a short excursion credit, which I know I'll use, Wi-Fi, things like that. I think I'm just going to go the a la carte way. And if I want something, I'm not going to nickel and dime myself. I think that's the key. The reason I love unlimited is because you get out of that habit of I shouldn't get this, or I'm racking up a bill. And I can be a bit of a penny pincher from time to time. And that's a way that I can just be like, okay, we can go and have a good time. But if I can go on there and honestly just buy what I want, I'm probably still going to come out cheaper than the prices that they have here. So let me know again in the poll that's opened up what you all would do if you are booking one of these packages. If you're getting Princess Plus, if you're getting Princess Premium, you say, Brendan, I'm doing a la carte too. Terabyte, you sailed Star Princess on Maiden Caribbean Cruise as our first Princess Cruise. Definitely their pizza is better than Celebrity. Very good to know. I did Celebrity's pizza on the last one, and it really wasn't that good. MSC's got good pizza. I do like MSC's pizza. Celebrity pizza, I want to like it. It's made there right there in front of you. It doesn't pull through for me. You're doing Resilient Lady. The Free Beach was one of the last stops on the tram. And second, what Terabot said, the Silhouette is by far the favorite ship. Absolutely beautiful. Definitely on the Silhouette. I'll have to find this Free Beach. If it's the last stop on the tram, I thought that was the beach club. I didn't realize it kept going. But I'll have to check that out. I'll just have to get on it and ride around a little bit. Tiffany talk going back to Utopia for the 4 nights, which is the midweek Monday to Friday sailing. It is still very loud. Even the days in Central Park was loud, and I grew up in the 80s, hair band to hair. I do like more. updated, modern, new ships. However, Freedom is our favorite. Oh, me and you both. I do miss the Freedom days. Freedom was such a great size ship. Their weekends were some of my absolute favorites. These big ships, they're just a different vibe, Tiffany, as you've already called out. Yes, they were a party cruise, but you could escape it. There were places that you could go not to get sucked into it. On Utopia, not so much as Wonder, but Wonder still can get there. It's really tough to get away from some of the party hardy. Terabyte, are we on the same cruise? Let's see. When am I going to be there? I'm Labor Day. Whatever weekend Labor Day comes over is when I'm going to be there. So let me know. I think it's the very first week of September. So Rose Ferrari looked at Icon, did India a couple of times. Big difference between Icon going to Independence of the Seas um, are too big. The Indy was perfect size. Totally agree. Indy is my second favorite Royal Caribbean ship when it comes to it's the Goldilocks size, right? It's not too small, not too big. It's got plenty to do. It is really, really nice. So I do enjoy Indy, and I've not done Icon, I've not done Star, I've not done Legend. And quite frankly, I don't know that I ever am going to wind up doing those unless they put them on a weekend and they make it easy on me. And who knows, that very well could happen, but that is not something I am looking to do. Going from loyal to royal to not liking royal is very much a big shift. It is. And I think that their board, the governing powers, recognize that there's probably a lot of people like me that they have intentionally pushed away. Look, I don't make them a lot of money. When I was gambling, yes, I made them a ton of money. But when I just normally go on a sailing, I get everything for free. I don't spend any money. I am not the client they want on their ships. And so I think that they have found a way to politely migrate a lot of us over to celebrity, which is fine with me because I'm loving celebrity. They've opened my eyes to it, but it does say a lot for the Royal Caribbean brand. I think they've doubled down since the launch of Icon specifically on being a family ship with the kids. And that's just not something that I want to do or, have a cruise that's like that. I'm sure that I'll still find ones where I want to go to, but for the price, I can find other cruises that I'd rather do. Rolls for you absolutely for 30,000 you get your own yacht versus going on Ritz Carlton for a weekend. Um, it does look beautiful. I am confident, but 30,000 is a bit crazy, right? David, you're going on Curl Princess at the end of October. My first time on Princess. See, we are all branching out. David is also a royal person. We're all trying different things. Want to have registered for a long time, saying I'm not old enough. Um, We will see. We will see. I don't know how the crowd's going to be, especially on my 15 day. I'm sure that it's going to be older, but I think you're going to have a blast. If the food's as good as everybody is saying in here, I think we're going to be in really good shape with that. All the ABC islands, some of my favorite islands, I wish they were closer to get to because the water down there is just absolutely stunning. So that is going to be, or was probably an excellent cruise. Hey, anybody that can go to a cruise ship and say the buffet is good, this is again Royal Caribbean. They've let their buffet slide. So let me brainstorm something with you guys and keep me honest. I don't know if we've talked about this or not yet. I have this theory that buffet quality on Royal Caribbean brand ships has a direct correlation to the average room rate that is on there. Meaning, if I am paying $400 to go on a cruise for a weekend, the food's not going to be great. It's going to be chicken that I don't even know what kind of chicken it is. If it is a $1,200 weekend on Royal Caribbean, the buffet is going to be amazing. I think somehow or another they found a way to link the food that they're purchasing to the revenue that the cruise ship is bringing in. And, instead of cutting back when it doesn't sell for the price it should, they cut on the food. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. That's just my little anecdotal thing that I've come across. Oh, so they got a paid and a free one, usually by the pool. If they've got free pizza, I mean, is the paid pizza that much better that I'm going to want to do it? Another question. Do Princess Premier if you are on a Sphere class ship, Sun, Star, and really want to want specialty dining because they have like 7 or so specialty restaurants. It is a ship with 2 to 3, stick with plus. That makes a lot of sense there. Thank you for weighing in there, John. So I am on the sky, which I believe it falls in line with sun, star, sky at least, probably a sphere, and we'll have all those. Um, that's a lot of food for, I mean, if I'm doing I, I got to think it through. I got to think it through. I don't know that I want the unlimited package and do 15 nights worth of specialty dining. When I get into a specialty dining restaurant, I just let myself go. I am ordering whatever I want to. I'm eating everything because it is so good and I feel like I earned it, paid for it. So I want to keep that in mind. Ruby Princess to Alaska, food was the worst on any ship. It's always interesting, Robert, how food, like you're hearing so many people say how great the food is on Princess in here, and then you go on one side and you're like, what happened here? Like, what was the difference? The food quality, it's why, and people on Facebook groups used to drive me crazy when somebody would go and be like, oh, this was the worst food on this ship, and somebody would be like, I was just there last week and it was wonderful. I loved it. And people don't, I think, understand that the food on cruise ships, if not run correctly, can have tremendous volatility. It can be amazing this weekend, and the next weekend it can be horrible. If the staff changes, if the chef changes, if you get a new food and beverage manager, like it can be totally different cruise to cruise, and people just don't understand that, I think. Probably do Princess Premium here. So with that, let me close out the poll and see what everybody voted on here. Let's end poll. So got 15 of you voted. 15 of you beat me to Princess. I love it. Um, and the results are in. So with that, you've got Princess Plus at 40%. So getting the starter package, if you will, a third of you saying none, and then 27% saying the premium. So all good feedback. Thank you guys for that. So it sounds like we're all kind of split. So I just got to keep doing my math and see what I want to do. But chances are I'm going to go a la carte, maybe premium, but most likely I think I'm going to go a la carte. T. Jonesy for Princess Cruise, you did Princess Premium. Would do that or plus in the future. You don't drink alcohol either, and a la carte is definitely the way to go. Let me make sure I read that right. For my only Princess Cruise, you did Princess Premium, and you wouldn't. I missed the apostrophe there. Would not do that again. So that's the thing. Like it's another reason why I've never done all inclusive not restaurants, resorts, because by the time I look at the price to go there, if alcohol's included and I'm not drinking, I'm literally paying such a premium to be there. It does not make sense to me. Oh, so Rolls Royce, they one thing you don't like about Virgin is they don't have a drink package. That is very true. So if you have not been on Virgin Voyages, they don't have an unlimited drink package. You can't go there and buy an unlimited drink package. What they have though is they call it a bar tab. And so what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, if you're thinking about your cruise, and I just did this math for me, how much bar tab do you want? And so when you buy drinks, they just take it out of your bar tab. You can prepay it or you can pay it when you get on the ship. The advantage to prepaying it is if you put, I think the latest math that we looked at was if you do $300, they're going to give you 50 on top of that for free. And so not really that much of a savings, honestly. It's like 15% bump that they give you. It's not a lot, but that's how you know. And so for our upcoming 4 night, I don't drink, my partner does. We decided to do, I get 100 from status there. So if you're part of um, their loyalty program, I get 100 bar tab already. And then we added another 300 for it. And we think that that's probably going to wind up being too much. But hey, what are you going to do? With just worst case scenario, it'll force me to have one more coffee or maybe grab some Red Bulls to take for the road. It is true. The gratuities, that's one of the biggest hits there is your gratuities are included. So it's not as bad as it seems when you actually do the math. So when I looked at my 15 night, gratuities are $255 per person is what that comes out to be. So if they are charging for the plus $975 for my cruise because it's coming in at about $65. That's a big hit right off the top for it. So you're absolutely right. You got to do the math on these things. If you include that, just that and Wi-Fi, I'm already at $630 of the 975. It's really the casual dining and the drinks. Is that going to make a big enough difference? That's where I get really confused on it. Maria, welcome back, Maria. Always a pleasure to see your smiling face popping up. Welcome. I'll do one more shout out. I saw Maria, and I know she's going to do this. Make sure you are pressing that thumbs up button if you want to. Show you're having a good time. You're getting your questions answered. We're talking cruises. I mean, what could be better? I'll also call out in the upper left-hand corner here, you do see the Buy Me a Coffee QR code. It's also in the link. Should you want to just contribute, if you're really loving the content here and want to support the channel, every little bit definitely counts. This is not the cheapest side hobby that I've got going on. And so always appreciate anything that you can do. Sailor Squirrel, Princess Buffet is great, better than Celebrity. However, Celebrity Main Dining Room is better than Princess Main Dining. So we're going to have to really play that one by ear. I will tell you, going on Princess, my mom is going to be with me, and she refuses to do the buffet for dinner. So she'll definitely do it for lunch. But for dinner, you best bet we are getting dressed up and we're going to go to that main dining room every single night on this 15-night cruise. There will not be a buffet anywhere to be seen, but we will go for lunch. So you're going to be on it for September 6th. Let me see, looking at cruises. I will see you there. So exciting. You'll have to send me a note. Let me know. Send me to me on Instagram, if you will. That's probably the best place because when I'm on cruise ships, I really post to Instagram and respond to more comments. If you have sent me more direct messages on Instagram, my apologies. I'm not getting back to those. I'm really only on Instagram when I'm on cruise ships, when I'm posting. And so otherwise, I'm not sending messages kind of like I should be, but definitely send me a note. Hero of the Seas. So Jaden, Hero of the Seas 3-night inaugural. How much do you think that's probably going for? If you had to guess, I don't know if you've researched or not. How much do you think I'd have to pay for a 3-night cruise on Hero? On a cruise ship that, by the way, I don't think I'm going to have a good time on. Just, it's not something that I truly want to do. Hey, Larry, welcome back. You're trying something new. Oh, the Queen Elizabeth 9 nights, ABC Islands out of Miami. That is a very cheap price for the QE for two people in a balcony. Very well done. So let me know what you think. It is a formal ship. I think that's the biggest feedback. You either love it or you don't love it. If you want to wear a tuxedo to dinner, you can absolutely do that on the Queen Elizabeth still. And so let me know what your thoughts are on it. Going to the ABC Islands, though, will be such a wonderful thing. When she's here in, is she leaving? She is leaving out of Miami. I think I saw that cruise when I was shopping around. I'll definitely probably be looking at my window, waving to her. I do love the look of those ships. Dynamic pricing and quality is an amazing thing. The people that put those algorithms and computers together for the cruise lines, Maria, blow my mind sometimes. You do the premium just because it makes it feel all inclusive. I think it is all inclusive. It even comes with all the pictures, which mom would probably love. She would love getting a copy of all the pictures. Especially restaurants. I think we'll probably enjoy a few of them. But as I mentioned, she really just loves the main dining room most of the time. Like she's luckily a very low maintenance traveler at the end of the day. And so I'm very fortunate in that with cruising with mom. Oh, and limited lobster tails on lobster tail. I guarantee you that is not happening on Jewel of the Seas during weekends, Bruins of the Seas during weekends. That is absolutely not happening. So it very well could be because Utopia is literally pricing at 3 to 4 times the amount that the other ships are right now in the fleet. So the food on Icon was too good compared to other Royal Caribbean cruises. So maybe I am onto something here. All these really expensive cruises have better food. So maybe I'm figuring something out. Yeah, and it's totally all over the place. You just never know. And it blows my mind sometimes because you think that as large of an organization as this is, that they would be really focused on consistency of the experience. And that is just not what you get on the large cruise lines these days. Is consistency varies greatly. You can't go on this ship, this sailing, and expect the same outcome on this ship and that sailing. I think eventually that'll come back and bite them at some point when people are going on all great ships and they get talked into doing an older ship or a cheaper ship and they're like, whoa, this is totally different experience. We don't like this at all. Karen, I just saw the $10 donation or contribution. Thank you. Greatly, greatly appreciated on that. It does mean a lot to creators like myself. And Miss Marissa, I miss you as well. Though I do keep up with you through your parents. I do get to see them pretty often. We had dinner. We were on a cruise actually, what, a month ago? I'm sure you know this. And then I saw them with Marilyn Dave at dinner just 2 weeks ago. So feel free to come tag along anytime you can. We'd love to hang out again. Opposite experience on Roy, it changed again. It could. I mean, you just, like I said, you never know on cruise lines. And so I never discount if somebody says they have a good experience or a bad experience, never discount it because I feel a lot of people on Facebook, especially in the cruise groups, want to invalidate somebody else's experience. If I go on a cruise and I personally think that I have a horrible time or I don't like it, telling me that I'm wrong doesn't change my experience. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to be like, you know what? It really, maybe I should second guess that. Maybe it really wasn't that bad. Maybe the food was better than I thought it was. No, if you thought the food was bad or you thought the experience was poor, that's what it was for you. And so you're allowed to have a different experience than somebody else. But Facebook does not like that at all. They will come for you if you say something bad about their cruise line or their cruise ship. Allie with an A, welcome. Always good to see you, Allie. Welcome back. Douglas, you are very late to the chat tonight. I'm kind of surprised, my friend. You're normally Johnny on the spot, one of the first ones here, but awesome you could join us tonight. Just bad food cruise for me, but I'm not writing off Princess yet. You know what? Wait for my take on it. If nothing else, my 15 nights, Robert. I'll give you a little bit to go. But Celebrity is a great experience. If you want to go over to Celebrity, I think that they are wonderful. But Princess still has a lot of people in their camp. They still love Princess. It's always interesting to me. Certain cruise lines people really gravitate towards. Princess is definitely one of those. Holland is another one that I will make it onto one of these days. But the people that love Holland America. They have such a fan favorite. I feel like that's changed. We were talking about like my personal preferences on cruise lines and how it's shifted. I think that I'm not alone on that. I think that I used to be so Royal Caribbean, and now I go, yeah, I'm actually a lot more a Celebrity fan these days. That's where I want to see myself, though I go everywhere. I feel like there's a lot of people from Royal and Celebrity who are reevaluating where they're putting their cruise dollars, where they're sailing, and saying, hey, where's a good fit for me? I don't think I am one of the only ones that has been loyal to Royal that said, I don't know that it's worth it anymore. So let's try something different. Yep, 3 nights is over $2,000. No, no, I will not do that. I can do like MSC for 5 cruises for that price. Like literally 5 weekends. I can do over a month's weekends worth of cruises for one on Hero. No, no. I do like the name Hero though. Maybe if I do one, it might be that one, just because I like the name. So, Douglas, when I go on an Oasis or Icon class ship, do I take advantage of Coastal Kitchen with Royal Caribbean? It's been your best experience. You know, I go and come with that. I will say that for the most part, yes, I will go there for lunch and dinner as often as I can. Coastal Kitchen is normally always a wonderful experience. Royal Caribbean's dining rooms, to me, their main dining rooms specifically, are organized chaos. There's people running around everywhere and they're making noise and you just feel the energy and the stress of it that the poor wait staff have to go through. When you go up to Coastal Kitchen, it is a slower pace, it is a quieter space, it's smaller, so that's naturally going to happen. But I enjoy the atmosphere and the vibe there a lot more than I do the main dining room or the buffet. With that being said, Coastal Kitchen's downfall, in my opinion, is the menu's not changed. The menu has been the same exact menu since they launched it. And so when I go there, and even though I haven't been for a while, I know what I'm going to order because the menu's the exact same. And so when I go on the ship, if I want variety of something I've not had before, I do have to change it up a little bit because the menu has been really stagnant for years. The food is good, but it's literally the same food every single time you go. And if you're only going like me on weekends, you get the same dinner Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's the same in the dining room. I get that. But I feel like they refresh that menu a little bit more than what they do. Even when I was on Celebrity Reflection this past month, there were some new additions to the menu. And so I was like, oh, there's new things here. And so I have to try them. And they were actually super good. I really did enjoy them. The waiter definitely appreciated it. He was like, how did you know those were new? And I was like, I got this menu. Don't worry. But it was quite cute. Heard food is supposed to be amazing. Really look forward to trying the test kitchen. Two things. First of all, if you're really looking forward to the food and don't want it to be stressful, make sure you did not buy or you are upgrading your package to where you can book your restaurants 45 days out. If you wait until the 15 day, like I did, you will not be able to book those in advance, and it just adds a whole nother level of stress. The test kitchen. Let's talk about it. I think you're doing a 4 night, right, Rosefoy, or are you doing the 5 night? Um, the test kitchen, it's polarizing. I will say that I am in the camp where I don't necessarily love the test kitchen. It is a what? Let me get this word right. Gastronomical kind of food, and so you're eating things that don't look like what you're eating. It tastes like what it doesn't look like. Um, and it's definitely an experience. I've been there twice, and most of the time I won't go if I'm there by myself just because I don't enjoy the experience. There's a good presentation to it, but you just got to know the food got a little bit different. And so if you want a meat and potatoes kind of situation, that is not going to be the test kitchen. It's going to be some frothy thing that tastes like something you don't know about. I say all that in jest. Go and check the box. Definitely check it out. Let us know when you come back what you think of it. But test kitchen is not something that I personally gravitate towards. And both times that I have been, I have left hungry because anytime you go to a gastro kind of place like this, they serve really small portions. And granted, they're going to give you six of them, but they're still super small. And so I still wound up going up to the food hall afterwards to eat again because I was still hungry. So let us know. My personal favorite, on the other hand, let me talk about this, is Pink Agave. Love their Mexican food. They'll have one Pink Agave like celebration night that is, more high energy and a lot of fun. And then the wake. Try to do the wake for brunch as well. They've got a wonderful brunch back there. My favorite restaurant is the wake at Cellaway out of Miami because they have windows in the back there and you get this beautiful backdrop of Miami disappearing into the night. It's super nice, but I haven't been able to book that because that's extremely popular. Maria, absolutely. Ships can be so different. What you get on one to the next, you literally just never know. The reflection I thought has been really good too, especially getting back. I was just bragging about how good the new food was, but they've really stepped up their game on celebrity reflection in the buffet as well as the dining room. The dining room, I still think on celebrity has a really strong advantage, but they're trying with the buffet. I can definitely see that. They absolutely are, David. Thank you for calling this out. So, David is a fellow solo cruiser with me. They are absolutely pricing us out. So, if you go to book a celebrity cruise for one person, it will literally charge you 300% of the value. It not just 200%. So, you have two people in the room, it would be $1,000. If you have just one person in the room, they would charge you $1,500 for that same room. And it annoys the mess out of me. It's definitely discrimination. I don't like it. I don't understand it. Actually, I do kind of understand it, but not to the tune that they're doing it. They are really putting it to the solo. what you got to do, David, and I'm sure you know this and can work with your travel agent on it, is you got to book a phantom person. You got to pay the upfront taxes for a second person. That person then no shows. You get the two person rate, and you get your taxes back that you pay. That is the only way to make sense. Downside to this, both Royal and Celebrity will give you double the cruise points when in their loyalty program if you go solo. If you book a fake person in your room, which I absolutely do to avoid this, if I still want to go on the ship, um, I just forfeit those because it's not worth the money that I got to pay to get the difference at that point. And oftentimes, if you're looking at the rooms that are available, if you have two rooms, you got this whole big list. You have one person in the room, all of a sudden you can choose from three things, three rooms. That's it. Drives me absolutely crazy, David. So I'm glad I'm not the only one feeling the pain there. Oh, the behind the scenes tour. If you've not done this, you all do it at least once. You will absolutely get a new perception of how much work goes on behind the scenes because we only see the decks that guests are on. There's a whole world down below where work is still going around the clock. So it's not a cheap tour, but it is definitely one that is eye opening, I would say. Selena, I would love this. I know we've talked about it. I threw up the potentials for on the last. I'm losing my words. It means I'm getting tired. We must be at close to 2 hours. We're getting there. On the last live stream, I talked about some options, and I think I was being a little aggressive on those. I might come back with just a nice weekend for us in January or February that we can all do kind of last minute, hopefully. So more to come on that. I'll probably try to do hopefully maybe later on in the year do a longer sailing that we can plan a little bit better for. Have I ever won top three cruiser? Absolutely, Jaden. I have won um, the it. Let me take this back. So when you say top three cruiser, what you are talking about there is at the top tier event for Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean does not where and this is where they'll put on the board first person, second, third. They'll recognize everybody hitting their milestones where it's 700, 150, 1400, etc. Have I hit three or number three? Yes, I've been up there, I think one time. There was one weekend where I was number three. The problem is on weekends, they don't do top tier events. You need to be on a 7 night, probably 5 night or longer sailing with Royal Caribbean to have them do top tier. And so I don't normally get recognized. I go on longer sailings and I get recognized, and I'm like, what? This is weird. Like, why am I getting all this attention? I am not used to it. On a weekend, they will send me just a certificate and a bottle of cheap champagne, is what they send to my cabin that says, "Hey, congratulations, you're our top cruiser." And I've gotten that multiple times because weekends, Pinnacles don't really gravitate towards it. So if I'm on a Royal Caribbean ship, chances are I'm going to get top cruiser for that cruise on a weekend. Celebrity, I don't get it because I don't have points with Celebrity. I only have points with Royal. So even though they give me the benefit, I don't get recognized over there like I would on a Royal ship. Funny story. First time I ever got recognized for status was on my Baltic cruise. When was this? Let me see if I can find this real quick for you all. Um, I'm probably gonna find it based on where it left from. Okay, maybe not. But I got my first top tier or top cruiser certificate at 456 points. I had like none, and they called me up there, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me! Like, I only have 450 because I'm used to sailing here in the Caribbean where people had stupid amounts of money, or not money, of points. Here, that just wasn't the case. In this Baltic sailing, we left out of Stockholm, and there was one person that on the cruise ship who had just under the same amount of points that I did, who'd been on it for like 4 weeks. This was her last week, and she'd gotten it every weekend up until, and she was a little upset at me that I came in and stole the show. But that was super cool, I will say. I was probably mid 30s at the time when that happened. Why can't I find this? I should be able to just hold on. Let me do it this way. Here we go. Um, It was a while ago that I got this, but it was in 2019 was the first time, almost 7 years ago, was the first time that I ever got top cruiser on a ship. So quite a while ago. All right, so I need to start winding down on some of the questions. I'm going to quickly go through some of the ones that are here, and then we will take it from there. I'm starting to uh, lose my voice. Test kitchen, totally weird, Maria. Yes, that is the best word for it. Is just weird. Go with an open mind and know that you got the food court upstairs should you need it. Oh, that is very fair. I mean, look, you got a solid backup strategy. I was saying, if you don't want to pay for it, this is a great way. It's already kind of prepaid. Pink agave from Maria is excellent as well. Do I often recognize passengers on cross? No, not too terribly much. Not as much as they used to. Yeah, when I was staying on one cruise line, that's one of the things I missed the most is I absolutely would recognize people and get to hang out with people. That was one of the best things. All right, everybody. So I do need to call it a night. We are coming up right at 2 hours almost, but thank you as always. I know I end every live stream with this, but I'm always super honored that you all came in. You decided this is how you wanted to spend your Tuesday night is talking cruises with me. So hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully I know I've certainly learned stuff from you all. But thank you as always. Hope you have a great rest of your night. And hopefully, I'll see y'all on a weekend cruise soon. Terabyte, if you're still here, send me a note on Instagram. I definitely will be seeing you on the Celebrity Beyond coming up. So enjoy your evening, everyone. Thank you, David, for the quick buy me a coffee. I see that popping up. Greatly appreciated. Thank you all, and have a good night.